It is large and squatting, so it is hard to get around it. Yet we squeeze by with, "How are you?" and "I'm fine," and 1,000 other forms of trivial chatter. We talk about the weather. We talk about work. We talk about everything else, except the elephant in the room. We all know it is there. We are thinking about the elephant as we talk together. It is constantly on our minds. For you see, it is a very big elephant. It has hurt us all. But we do not talk about the elephant in the room. Oh, please, say her name. Oh, please, say Barbara again. Oh, please, let's talk about the elephant in the room. For if we talk about her death, perhaps we can talk about her life. Can I say Barbara to you and not have you look away? For if I cannot, then you are leaving me alone in a room with an elephant.
Hello, my name is Wanda Stride and I am a member of the equity team for the East Central Ontario Regional Council in the United Church of Canada. And you have found us on a rainy day in April 2021, and we're here to talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is an idiom in the English language that refers to an obvious truth that everybody is ignoring. And you just heard a poem by Terry Kettering, read by John Futhy. And in that poem, the elephant in the room is grief. There are all kinds of elephants in the room, but grief is something that is universal. Every single one of us will experience grief in our lives. But not everyone wants to talk about grief. Some people are very uncomfortable talking about grief. And so we leave people alone in their grief while that elephant pounds around and hurts people and crashes into things. We spend so much energy avoiding talking about the thing when we could be spending our energy understanding people, commiserating with them, sitting with them, and healing with them. So what is it with us? Why are we so afraid to talk about some things? Grief is just one elephant in the room. When we come together as a large group of people, we encounter many elephants, especially when we come together as church. And I'm sure that you know what many of those elephants are. Things that we're so uncomfortable about, we are fearful of, and rather than overcome our fear, we just ignore them and we don't say anything. Why are we so fearful? Well, you probably have a lot of your own explanations for that. I know right off the bat I can think of not wanting to look uninformed, not wanting to say the wrong thing and hurt somebody. And so rather than take a chance and really be present to somebody, we leave them alone. All through our scriptures, right back from the beginning of Proverbs and the Psalms, all through to the end with the letters to the church in the New Testament, the writers talk about fear and how fear is the opposite of God's love. And when we fear, we don't leave room for God's love. This is our spiritual journey, is trying to find ways to love through our fear and be with each other. And it's not an easy journey, but we don't do it alone. When we do this work, it is holy work, and Jesus shows up with us, guiding us and comforting us and helping us to stay on the right path. So join me on this spiritual journey. The United Church of Canada in 2006 made a commitment to being an intercultural church. And this is our way of expressing this journey of being radically loving and inclusive. And that meant taking a good hard look at some of our structures, at the way that we come together, the way we worship, the kind of language we use, and to create a framework so that we can ask the right questions to help each other do this work. So the first question that we ask ourselves when we come together to do this work of equity is, who is missing at the table? In General Council 43, Reverend Paul Walfel challenged the church to take a good look at who is invited to the table. Who was present in our decision making? Who was helping to set the course of action of where we would spend our energy? And he invited us not just to leave a space for these people, but to actually invite a diversity of folks with different voices to be a part of setting the agenda, to be a part of decision making, so that we can hear voices that we aren't always hearing in the din of our dominant culture. ACT is a popular acronym that challenges us to act, confront, and to transform. Our hearts say we are a community of faith that is inclusive and welcoming, and that we do make a place for all at our table. But it's a constant learning edge, inviting us to keep monitoring just how open our doors are. As an intercultural church, the United Church of Canada encourages us to use an intercultural lens tool so that we can become a more equitable church. We aim for equity, to live out our commitments, question biases, challenge assumptions, notice who is missing, and value all voices. And that is becoming an intercultural church breaks this down with questions to ask when doing any life and work of ministry of any form. The United Church of Canada is committed to seeking justice and living it out. For example, we work for the full inclusion of all sexual orientations and gender identities, for racial and gender justice, and for right relations between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples, and to provide equity for all who are marginalized in any way. Living into being an intercultural church is a transformational opportunity. The intercultural lens is a practical tool for engaging the vision for becoming an intercultural church. It is instructional, stating, when you are reviewing a report, making a decision, or having a discussion, ask yourself the following questions. 1, what is the context? So what are our biases and how will we address them? What are our cultural norms, values, or rules? Are they reflected in this report or discussion? Are any points of view missing, and what can we do to include them? Have we considered systemic issues such as racism, sexism, or ableism? How can we? What assumptions are we making about who and what matters? And number 2, who will be affected? When we make a decision, how do we listen to voices that have not been fully included in the past? Who has an interest in the outcome of our decisions? Who has been invited to participate in the process? Whose voices are valued and whose are undervalued? Whose points of view are missing, and what can we do to include them? And number 3, how will this report or discussion increase equity? How does it honor the church's intercultural view? How does it address differences in power? How does this process demonstrate fairness? How will we check or confirm our assumptions? How will this report, decision, or conversation help the church live out its commitments to justice? So you can see why all this matters. Speak up and name the elephants in the room, and let's explore this way of justice together. If you'd like more information on the equity team, please contact us through the communications person for the East Central Ontario Regional Council or the staff person who works with us. And God bless you on this important ministry.